Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports. Whatever day it is. Wednesday, April 15th. We're on a hot streak, man. It's continuing, I guess. I mean, yesterday was good enough. We went 2-1-1 on the show yesterday. 22-8-1 run over the last 11 days now with no losing days in there. The only non-winning day was a pass, so we're, it's a grind, and it's working well right now. We're going to have losing days at some point, man, but the goal is let's have a winning day every single day. I'm going to give 3 plays out on the show today. They're all in baseball. NHL is just like, we're going to pretty much, we're not going to have another NHL play until the playoffs probably. And then I'm skipping the 2 NBA play-in games tonight as well. Garrett, what's up? Yeah, we got the cover with the Heat. You got somewhat lucky with the win with the Hornets, but they did win. It'll make the playoffs more interesting, I suppose. Yes, sir. Hornets need to win one more game to get in, though. They're going to have to beat the winner of tonight's game. But the Hornets, dude, so this is what I was saying yesterday. Usually the 7-8 matchup is usually first, so that whoever wins that game gets a rest advantage in addition to having home court. So, like, the 7 seed, which I should have mentioned yesterday because we were talking about one of those games yesterday, the Phoenix game. The 7 seed has never missed the playoffs entirely in the 10 years that this has happened, and they've won the first game 8 times. And I think they covered the spread 6 of those times. Until now, of course. So now it's, we have to see what Phoenix does, although that is a good sign for Phoenix tomorrow. But, yeah, you have the rest edge. You're staying at home. But that's not the case here because the Flyers had a game last night. So the 76ers, who I believe are the 7th seed right now, they have to play tonight instead of last night. So now the Hornets are going to have to have a rest advantage here, that never happens. It was this weird scheduling quirk, although they will have to go on the road. But they get an extra day off, whereas whoever wins tonight doesn't. So I don't know who you want to win that game. I'm assuming you probably want Philadelphia rather than Orlando, right? Because Philadelphia is not a complete team right now. So I'm guessing that's what you want, but I don't know. Maybe you don't. I mean, Orlando, I don't know. Well, I'm going to talk about that game at the end of the show here. So let's talk about today's board, man. Most of this show is going to be baseball. It's getaway day for some of these teams, so we do have some afternoon baseball because I think some of these teams are traveling after this. We have Arizona at Baltimore, 12:35 p.m. Eastern. These 2 teams have split the first 2 games of the series, so usually when I think teams are trying to win the series, they both show up, and they're not really going to be at risk of looking ahead or anything like that. Like, I did look at the schedules to see who these teams are playing next. I don't think it's really that significant, though. I think both teams are going to show up. Baltimore did lose the game yesterday in a close game. Looking at the bullpen usage from yesterday, Baltimore used 4 relief pitchers, which is a decent amount to use. So did Arizona, but they only used Thompson for one pitch. However, Arizona's bullpen, I still don't think they're good. I mean, they're sitting here at a 10th in overall whip, but their ERA is way worse than all these teams around them. I don't think Arizona's bullpen is very good. Baltimore's is ranked better anyway in both whip and ERA, so I'm going to still give Baltimore a bullpen edge here. They're 7th in offense as well. Arizona, you would think that their hitting should at least come around at some point, but they've been pretty bad offensively as well, bottom third. So Baltimore does have the edges here, I think, in all of those departments, at least to some extent. Eduardo Rodriguez is getting the start for Arizona. He has been good so far, 0.5 ERA and 1 whip, although obviously those numbers are not sustainable. You dive into his numbers a little bit, though. His strikeout rate is way down, 11 strikeouts in 18 innings. That's concerning. I know he's only allowed 1 run so far, but 11-5 strikeout walk ratio is not exactly great either. He's managed to be pretty unhittable, though. He's allowed well below 1 hit per inning, so you got to give him credit for that. And he's done that against the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Mets. And all 3 of those teams are at least capable offenses, even though the Mets have not had a good offense so far this year. I think they do have a lot of talent in that offense. Erod is not that familiar to Baltimore. They have 5 hitters who've seen him before, 26 at-bats against him, 9-3 strikeout walk ratio, 231 batting average allowed, 733 OPS. Those are, I would say, okay numbers. For the most part, they're pretty good, I guess, and he's pretty unfamiliar to them, so I don't know that he's not going to do well again here. I don't love that his strikeout rate is down, but he might do okay in this game. Kyle Bradish is pitching for the Orioles. Maybe people are not going to want to do anything with him because he does have bad numbers this year right now, but it's a very small sample size. 5.27 ERA, 1.68 whip. I think he is better than that, but his walk number is terrible. Like, that's been his problem. He has well over 1 strikeout per inning, which is good. He's allowed too many hits, sort of, but the walks are really the main concern with him. 3 walks in every outing so far. You can't do that, man. He needs to get that under control, though I think he can, because if you look at his career numbers, they're much, much better than this. So I expect him to, at some point, start doing better than this. He does have good numbers against Arizona, only in 17 at-bats. They don't have that much experience against him. 235 average allowed, 610 OPS, 8-2 strikeout walk ratio. This game, it's very difficult to gauge, dude, because I can see arguments for both pitchers doing well here. I can see arguments for both pitchers not doing well here. Baltimore's getting the money, 55% of tickets, 78% of the cash on them. They've moved up to minus 150 on the money line. I suppose, all things considered, I probably don't disagree with Baltimore. I think they probably do have at least a slight edge in most ways here. I think Bradish is better than Erod as well at this stage in their careers, because Erod is, I think he's coming back from, Tommy John surgery that he had a couple years ago, and he's been kind of shaky since then, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, I mean, I'll agree with Baltimore. I don't have a good opinion on this game, though. But that is what the money is saying. Money is also kind of indicating towards the under for what that's worth. I don't know if I would want to touch the total, though. I mean, I'm giving out exactly what I think are the best plays, obviously, as I always do. Next up in the afternoon, Cleveland and St. Louis. These teams have also split, with Cleveland winning the first game, St. Louis winning yesterday by 1. To me, it seems like both teams will show up here. I do think Cleveland is the better team. St. Louis used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, pretty heavy usage from their bullpen, which I don't even think is a good bullpen. Cleveland used 4 relief pitchers. They only used Herron for 2 pitches, though. So I think Cleveland has the better bullpen and the more rested bullpen here. Cleveland, their bullpen has been a little bit shaky so far, but they're still ranked 16th in whip, so they're like middle of the pack. St. Louis is worse than that, 22nd. They're also worse in ERA. St. Louis, mediocre offense so far. I don't think their offense is particularly good. Cleveland's has been a little bit better, although they're both middle of the pack. I don't think either offense is terrific, but I do think Cleveland's is probably slightly better. Starting pitching, Slade Ciccone is pitching for Cleveland. His 5.74 ERA looks pretty bad. 1.21 whip is definitely more palatable than that, though. He's been okay. He has a 14-5 strikeout walk ratio. I mean, that's not great, and he hasn't gone that deep into these games. It looks like they're kind of keeping him on about a 90 pitch count in these starts, but I think he's been okay. He's still pretty young. I mean, I think he has some talent there. His numbers are really bad against St. Louis, but it's a very small 15 at-bat sample size. 400 batting average allowed, those 971 OPS, 3-1 strikeout walk ratio. You know, even if I think maybe Ciccone is the better of these two starters here, I don't like seeing matchup numbers like that. Usually I'm going to at least probably avoid that pitcher, but Dustin May, probably a guy I'm looking to fade, though. I mean, he is coming off a good start against the Red Sox because the Red Sox haven't been able to do anything on offense, and his numbers are still horrendous. 9.45 ERA, 1.8 whip. Dustin May from Justin, Texas, is another guy who he hasn't been good since his Tommy John surgery, and it has been years since then, and he hasn't been good. Now, you might say, well, he's improving because he just had a really good start against the Red Sox. Maybe that was more of a fluke, though. I mean, I don't think he's very good. He's allowed 21 hits in 13 1/3 innings, so he's been way too hittable, even though an 11-3 strikeout walk ratio is not bad. Against Cleveland, he does not have good numbers. Pretty small sample size, although most of their hitters have seen him before. 22 at-bats, 8.3 strikeout walk ratio, 318 batting average allowed, and 991 OPS. That's not good. So this game, I'm almost tempted to say over makes sense in this game. The total's sitting at 8.5. It has gone up a little bit, but we've seen 91% of the tickets and only 69% of the cash on the over. But you're looking at two bullpens that have kind of struggled a little bit. I don't really trust either of these starters. The matchup numbers don't look that good. 8.5 is a reasonable total for this game. I'm kind of thinking over, and then the money is coming in towards St. Louis, which kind of surprises me. 67% of tickets and only 55% of the cash on a public road Cleveland team here. Whenever I see market percentages like that, I do not want to be on that team. That would indicate that St. Louis would be the side to be looking at here. Can we really trust Dustin May, though? I'm not so sure about that. I mean, of course, it would make sense that the Red Sox, they make this horrible trade for him. The guy that they traded for him is raking in AAA right now for the Dodgers, Tibbs. It would only make sense that would happen, and then that Dustin May, as soon as he's gone from the Red Sox after that failed experiment, that he'd actually be good or something. That's, of course, that would make sense. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe it does. Money is saying St. Louis here, but I think I prefer the over, even though it's against the market read there. Red Sox in Minnesota, I'm going to have a play on this game. Oh, man. I think we have to do it. I know there's all this turmoil here, but I think they have the starting pitching advantage here. I think they're the better team. They're the road favorite for a reason. They're trying to avoid a sweep. We're going to take the Boston Red Sox, my Red Sox, money line, minus 130. We got to get something out of this Red Sox team, man. I mean, I think the public is going to be completely off of them. This has been a massively embarrassing series. I mean, you get your ace completely lit up in the first game, and you can't win that game. Then you score no runs in the next game last night against a struggling young pitcher in Mick Abel. I don't know what is going on here. The Red Sox have been outscored 19-6 in this series. You got to expect some effort out of them. And I know there's all the chatter out there. A lot of the Red Sox fans are mad at Jarren Duran again, but they're only mad at him because he said the F slur way back in the day, whenever that was, 2 years ago now. At this point, that everybody's just looking for a reason to hate on this guy. I love Jarren Duran. I relate to him, as a fellow suicidal man here. Dude, I mean, he opened up about that in the documentary, and then opposing crowds are just like telling him to kill himself, basically. You can't do that. And then what did he do last night? He flipped off a guy? Oh no. That's the end of the world. How horrible of him for doing that when people are telling, a man who tried to kill himself that he should have completed the job. You can't say that to him. The Red Sox fans are being horrible about it. I'm sick of this fan base, dude. It's a bunch of woke bullshit. I like Duran. I don't know what the Red Sox lineup is going to look like here, but I'm going to ignore all of that. I think that's noise. The Red Sox are better than you think they are right now, even though I know their fundamentals are terrible. I think they need to completely change the entire coaching staff, but I think they're going to get this game. I think they have the advantage in most areas of this game. Again, motivation. You got to be looking to avoid the sweep here. Minnesota is not this good. I mean, this is a team that's sort of almost in rebuilding mode, even though they kept Joe Ryan. I do not think Minnesota is going to be where they are in the standings right now by the end of the season. I think the Red Sox will be better than what they look like right now. The odds makers, like I said, they've lined the Red Sox as a favorite in every game this series. There's a reason for that. The Red Sox, by the way, they have the 5th best bullpen based on whip, so quietly their bullpen has been really good. And that is not the case with the Twins, who have the 2nd worst bullpen. Twins' bullpen is atrocious. Red Sox have the bullpen edge. I think there's no argument there. The Red Sox only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday as well. Granted, yes, they used Chapman, although he hadn't pitched for days, and there's a chance they use him again here. Hopefully they don't even need to, though. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping they have enough of a lead that they don't even need to use them. Minnesota did only use 2 relief pitchers as well, but they have a really bad bullpen. Offensively, yes, Minnesota has been hitting well. Looking at their offense, they are 5th in offense right now. I still just don't see it, man. I don't. This offense is not this talented. I expected there's going to be regression there. The Red Sox, I expect, will be better offensively at some point. They're sitting right now at 23rd, but you look at the hitters that these teams have, the Red Sox, it's pretty easy to argue the Red Sox have the better lineup. They're just not, in better form to start the season. But obviously, we're looking at the starting pitching matchup as a big part of this as well. Connolly early is pitching for the Red Sox. Talented young pitcher. I know his whip is really bad, though, 1.54. Still, I think we could trust him in this matchup. 2.63 ERA is pretty good. I know his whip indicates his ERA should be a lot worse. He needs to get these walks under wraps, man. That's the problem. Everything else looks good. He has more than 1 strikeout per inning, fewer than 1 hit allowed per inning. 8 walks is the problem. 15 to 8 strikeout walk ratio in 13 2/3. He needs to get that under control. He hasn't really quite gone deep enough into these starts, but like I said, I think we're able to roll with the Red Sox bullpen as part of this handicap as well here. So hopefully we get at least like 5 innings out of early here. I think that is manageable. I think we could do that. And I think he has an advantage because he's facing a bunch of hitters who have never seen him before. Only Tristan Gray has ever faced him. 0 for 2 with a strikeout. So early has the unfamiliarity edge on his side. He pitched a little bit better in his last outing, by the way. I know he threw too many pitches. They pulled him before he was done with 5 innings, but he allowed 1 earned run to St. Louis in a road start. 2 walks. I mean, that was an improvement over his previous start. So I think he'll do okay in this game at the very least. Again, he is definitely a really talented young pitcher, which is why the Red Sox are trusting him to be in the starting rotation here this year. He's going up against Simeon Woods Richardson, who is more familiar to the opposing hitters here. He's fine. I mean, he's an okay pitcher. 4.6 ERA, 1.28 whip. Okay numbers, nothing mind-blowing here. He doesn't really go that deep into games a lot of times either, and he doesn't strike out a lot of guys. 8 strikeouts in 15 2/3 innings. A little bit too hittable with more than 1 hit per inning. He's allowed 3 home runs so far, which isn't that great, and 4 walks. Wouldn't be that bad, except the strikeout walk ratio is not particularly good. So, I don't know. Richardson's just not a guy that comes in and really lights it up and blows guys away. And against the Red Sox, his numbers are not that good. Only 22 at bats, but 6-3 strikeout walk ratio, 318 batting average allowed, 764 OPS. So the Red Sox have done successfully against him. I think we're going to do it, man. We're going to take the Red Sox here. The money is agreeing with this. They're at minus 125 right now, so you might be able to find a better number on this. It looks like the money agrees with me. Tickets 50-50, 70% of the cash on the Red Sox. Hopefully it does not change by the time this game happens, but we will roll with the Red Sox in that game. Money line. Hopefully this is the bounce back spot for them, man. Cubs in Philadelphia. This is a good matchup, which is why it's on ESPN Unlimited, MLB Unlimited, whatever the hell. So if you have the Disney Plus bundle, whatever, you can watch this one. Whatever the hell it is. I guess it is ESPN Unlimited and MLB TV. This is a good series. The teams have split the series so far. Some of these series, by the way, are continuing tomorrow. This is not one of them, but either way, they've split the first two, so I think both teams are going to show up. It's a big matchup between two potential playoff teams here. Looking at the bullpens, Philadelphia's bullpen has started to struggle. They were hot for a while, but now they're middle of the pack. Chicago, the Cubs, their bullpen's kind of middle of the pack right now as well. Looking at who they have and based on last year and whatever, I think the Cubs actually do have a slightly better bullpen here than Philadelphia does. Offensively, I think Philadelphia is better than what they've done so far. They're middle of the pack offensively. Cubs have struggled offensively, though. Where are they at? They've actually moved up a little bit. They had been struggling. Both these teams, I think, have better offenses than what they've looked like so far this year, but they're both in the middle of the pack right now. I think the offenses are a little bit of a wash here. I might give the slight edge to Philadelphia there. The Cubs, 4 relief pitchers used yesterday. Philadelphia did use 4 as well, so a little bit of heavy bullpen usage yesterday. Starting pitching is an interesting matchup. Shota Imanaga is pitching for the Cubs. He's having another good season so far. 2.81 ERA, 0.81 whip. He's coming off a 6-inning no-hit performance against Pittsburgh. They took him out at 100 pitches. I understand they don't want to overwork him, but, man, you'd like to see no-hitters again, man. Go back to the old days. And they wound up losing that game. The bullpen couldn't hold the game, and the offense did nothing behind him. Isn't that just great? But Imanaga is in good form right now. His last 2 starts have been really good. He's got way over 1 strikeout per inning, way below 1 hit per inning allowed, 20-4 strikeout walk ratio. We know he's good. Against Philadelphia, though, he has not done that well. Small sample size, 18 at-bats, but they do have a couple of homers off him. Between Bomb hit a bomb off him, and Marchand, who the hell is that? Brad Marchand? Is this hockey? What? Rafael Marchand. I don't know who that is. 5-1 strikeout walk ratio for Imanaga against them, though. 333 batting average allowed, 1,091 OPS. Those numbers are not exactly trustworthy, but I do trust Imanaga overall, though I think it's a difficult lineup to face in a difficult environment, but I think he does obviously have the ability to put together a good start here, though. So, I'm expecting maybe his start will be somewhere in the middle. Like, it won't be amazing, but it won't be terrible. That would be my guess. Jesus Luzardo is pitching for the Phillies. He is an interesting case, man. His ERA is sky high right now, 6.23, but his whip is pretty good at 1.15. So what the hell is going on here? Well, what's going on is he's getting hit too hard. He's allowed multiple home runs so far. He's getting a little bit unlucky, though, you would have to say. Looking at his outings so far, he's allowed a bunch of runs, but it's like almost everybody he puts on base is scoring. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. He has well over 1 strikeout per inning. Great strikeout stuff so far. 26 strikeouts and 17 1/3. Only 4 walks. All these numbers look good. So, like, the underlying numbers do look good. I would say he's better than his ERA looks right now, but knowing Luzardo, he goes on these streaks where he has, like, this elite strikeout stuff for a while, and then he also has performances where he just gets absolutely rocked. Like, he just gets hit hard. I don't know what the deal is. Last year, it seemed like there was something to do with, like, maybe he was tipping his pitches, so, like, hitters knew what was coming. They were able to – he had, like, a tell on the mound. Maybe that's happening again to some extent here. I don't know. It makes him very difficult to handicap. His numbers are really good against the Cubs, though. 85 at-bats, 188 batting average allowed. 632 OPS isn't quite as good. And again, the walks actually are the problem here. Not again, because I didn't mention the walks yet, but a lot of times – walks are the issue with him. He has 27 strikeouts, 14 walks against the Cubs, but Swanson and Happ have combined for 11 of those walks. So it's almost like he's kind of pitching around a couple of those guys there. That's the lowdown there. Very, very difficult to handicap Luzardo, though. Looking at the market read on this game, the money is coming in on the Cubs. Philadelphia moved up from -122 to -132 on the money line, but 65% of the tickets on them, 52% of the cash on the Cubs. I would say generally I agree Imanaga is the better pitcher than Luzardo. I think he's definitely more consistent at the very least. That might be part of the reason why the money's coming in this way. Public likes the team that appears to be the better offense, which is Philadelphia. But, the matchup numbers don't make it look that great for Imanaga. Luzardo does have the better matchup numbers here. Very, very difficult game to handicap, man. It's not a game I want anything to do with. The money is saying the Cubs. I don't have that strong of an opinion against it, really. You don't want to weigh the matchup numbers too heavily here. So we're staying off of the game. Kansas City and Detroit, we're in the evening games now, by the way. That one that I just talked about was an evening game. So is this one. We got a win with Kansas City and Detroit. I forgot to talk about that one in my... Oh, I forgot to talk about all the... what happened yesterday. My apologies, guys. We'll do it now. Yesterday, we went 2-1-1. This was one of the winners. We had the under in Kansas City and Detroit. I was just hoping, just like, don't go into extra innings, man. It wound up being a 2-1 Detroit win, I think. I was like, we easily got the under in that game. But at that point, it's like you're just praying that you don't have to deal with ghost runners, although I think we still would have hit the under. The White Sox just kind of destroyed themselves right away. They had a horrible error almost immediately in the game, and it ruined Noah Schultz's debut. I mean, maybe we shouldn't trust the pitchers in their debut that much, but I was right about McClanahan not being that good in that game, though. Like, he struggled in that game. It's just that Schultz kind of got hurt right away with that horrible error. There was one point where Tampa Bay had 3 runs on 1 hit. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So that just, it really hurt his outing right away, even though he wasn't that great. Neither starting pitcher was. And yeah, the White Sox were actually in that game even after that error. They came back and they were in the game for a bit, but they fell short. They put up a couple runs late, but it was not enough. So unfortunately, that one lost. Colorado was a push for us with the way that I did it. If you went all plus 1.5 run line, you actually got a full win on that, although you had to lay a little bit more at minus 130 or so on that. Colorado looked like they were off to the races. They were winning that game 3-0. Then they got lit up, and then all of a sudden they were losing 7-3. They were able to come back and make it a 7-6 loss. So the way that I recommended playing it with the split bet wound up being a push. So that was fine. And then the Miami Heat covered for us, as I was alluding to. Garrett, talking about your Hornets there. Garrett and I can both be happy, I guess, because the Miami Heat covered, although I was thinking we were going to get a money line cash on that because, I recommend whenever you bet an underdog, especially in that spread range, like a single-digit spread, I'm saying you got to put like 10% of that bet on the money line. So that money line sprinkle did not hit, and it looked like it was pretty good most of the game. Miami led most of the game. They had not a big lead, but a decent lead multiple times late in the game and kept blowing it, and then it went into overtime. And at that point, I'm thinking, like, please don't blow it in overtime. When you have a dog that goes to overtime, especially a dog of that size, you're like, you had the right side. Like, don't lose the bet now. But luckily, Miami was able to keep it close. They lost by 1. So we'll take that, although Miami is now eliminated. And by the way, one thing I forgot to mention, it was kind of part of that handicap. I mean, I mentioned that Miami had a lot of experience in the play-ins and whatever. I think Miami is the only team to ever make the playoffs as a 10 seed in the play-in. They've done that before. As a 10 seed, they won 2 straight road games to get into the playoffs. I don't remember which year that was. I think it was one of those like messed up COVID years. I think it was one of those years that Miami made this crazy run. That one was when they were like an 8 seed in the playoffs. I think they might have made the finals. I don't know. I may be confusing that with the other year where I think they were a 7 seed and they beat, or maybe maybe it was that same year where they were the 8 seed. They beat the Celtics. Horrible. And the Celtics, I think, lost, I don't know, I think there was some injury the Celtics had to deal with in the last game of that series. I think Jason Tatum, probably. Usually it's him. I don't know. I think that might have been that same year, actually. Celtics clearly should have made the finals that year. And maybe they would have had a shot to win, but I believe that year, I think it was Heat Nuggets, I want to say, and the Nuggets just absolutely took them out in the final. I think it was a sweep, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm misremembering that. You guys can remind me, but now I'm off on a crazy tangent when I'm trying to talk about baseball. Kyle, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, yes, sir. We're doing pretty well. It's a bit of a grind. I don't want to see this loss record hit double digits, but it's going to happen. It might happen today, which wouldn't be great because that would mean we have a losing day. but you know it's going to happen again at some point. Hopefully it doesn't happen here. But yes, anyway, yeah, I was just very late. Usually I do it in the intro, but I was just running down all the plays yesterday. And I will say, I'll talk about it more tomorrow, but Phoenix blowing that game was unbelievable. Phoenix had what were they up? They were up 11 or 13 with 4 minutes left. They were still up, I think, 8 or maybe 9 with maybe 2 or 3 minutes left, and they lost the game. That was insane. I don't know what that was. They had multiple key free throw misses at the end of that game. They just went completely silent offensively. I'm not a fan of the Portland Trailblazers, man. I'm not. Maybe it's because of all the Zionism going on there with their Israeli star player there, if you want to call him that. Actually, whoa! I can't call him a star player. Oh God, I'm gonna get this channel nuked. Oh my God. With Avgia, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Whatever that guy's name is, he did have a good game last night. A really good game. But yeah, I did not think Phoenix was going to lose that game. Obviously, all right. Even though they had to make a comeback in the middle of the game, but they had the game pretty much put away. I don't know what that was. Anyway, let's get back to this. Kansas City and Detroit. Detroit did win yesterday. This series is going to be one that continues tomorrow. Yesterday was the first game of the series. And like I said, we got the under. Kansas City only used 2 relief pitchers as well. Detroit probably had to use their closer in the game. Yeah, they used Jansen as their closer now. Former Boston Red Sox, I believe. He's still doing his thing out there. Detroit did use him, but they only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Both of these bullpens, I think, are at least okay. Kansas City's, though, Kansas City's off to a bad start, though. I don't know, man. I still don't think their bullpen is this bad, though, based on last year, even though they're a bottom several bullpen right now. I'm not sure if I see that continuing. Detroit's has been mid-tier, but not bad. As far as the offenses, so Detroit does have the better of the 2 bullpens if we're looking at what they've done on the season so far. Detroit's been middle of the pack offensively, although I think they're clearly the better offense here. Kansas City's bottom 4, which, yeah, last year Kansas City couldn't hit well. I think that might be the case this year too. Seth Lugo is pitching for Kansas City. He's been good. Damn the advanced analytics guys, I guess. He's getting up there in age, still putting up pretty good numbers, 1.53 ERA, 1.08 whip. Obviously, he's not going to continue being this good, and he is regressing a little bit with 4 walks in his last outing. That is a concern. Overall, now 14-6 strikeout walk ratio, but he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. I know it's too many walks, but he's still been pretty good so far this year, and I expect him to at least be decent again this year, but this particular matchup maybe does not benefit him. His numbers against Detroit, they've seen a ton of them, 160 at-bats, 39-18 strikeout walk ratio is not good, 287 batting average, 841 OPS allowed. Those numbers are not particularly good at all. So he does not do well against Detroit specifically, really. He is going up against Jack Flaherty, who is not having a good season. 5.14 ERA, 1.64 whip. They need to get a new video for him here on ESPN. This is from years ago. All right, yeah, you get cute story talking about his adoptive mother or whatever, but, dude, I don't know. This video, it just bugs me whenever I see the thumbnail of it. Let's change this shit. Anyway, yes, he's not pitching well. 5.14 ERA, 1.64 whip, 14-11 strikeout walk ratio this season. That is pretty bad. He's walked 3 or more in every outing. Oh, but he's improving, man. He finally went more than 5 innings last outing. Against this Twins team, it's been hitting everybody. And he only walked 3 guys in that outing, which was an improvement for him. Yeah, but, dude, he's just issuing way too many free passes. I can't jump on the Flaherty train here right now. His numbers against the Royals are also not really that good. And 79 at-bats, 20-5 strikeout walk ratio is good. 266 batting average allowed is fine. 791 OPS, a little bit on the higher side there. He's allowed a few home runs in there. This game, it has me kind of thinking over is the way to look at this game. So the advanced analytics guys will like me for that because we'd be fading Seth Lugo in a way if we did that. The total's gone up from 8.5 to 8 to 8.5. Excuse me. We don't really see the percentages yet, but it looks like the money is indicating on the over. I don't think I would disagree with that. Both starting pitchers don't have good matchup numbers. Flaherty looks very fadeable here, but that's also leading to the fact that the money's coming in on the Royals here as well. Detroit, 62% of the tickets on them. Detroit looks like they've figured it out as they have a couple of wins in a row now. Detroit was on a bad stretch for a little while. Obviously, I think Detroit is still pretty good. I think they're the best team in this pretty mediocre division here. But the public maybe is overrating them in a game where they have Jack Flaherty on the mound. 62% of the tickets on them, 59% of the cash on Kansas City. So the money, maybe the advanced analytics guys are still not fading Seth Lugo as far as the side is concerned. I'm going to agree. I would lean to Kansas City as well here. I just think generally I would trust Seth Lugo over Jack Flaherty. If you do that, I think first 5 innings makes more sense, though, because Kansas City's bullpen just has struggled so far this year. So if you wanted to exclude the bullpens there, maybe that makes more sense and go Kansas City first 5 just for Lugo to outpitch Flaherty, which he has done so far this season. All right. Keeping it going. This is going to take forever, man. We have San Francisco and Cincinnati. Cincinnati won the first game of the series yesterday, 2-1. Very low scoring for a game in Cincinnati, where usually you see higher scoring games. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark. As far as the bullpens go, I don't even know where. I don't have the lay of the land still, man. The Reds have been decent. They're 11th in bullpen whip so far. Giants should be better than they are. They're 18th right now, though they were a very good bullpen last year. They've struggled a bit this year, though. No doubt about it. The Reds have been the better bullpen this year, but I think the Giants are going to close that gap a bit. I don't think the Giants' bullpen is really that bad. I do think the Giants' offense is bad, even though everybody talks about how they have all this talent. Yeah, but they had pretty much the same guys last year, like post-Devers trade and whatever. Their offense still sucked. And, they play in a hitter-unfriendly ballpark, but still, I don't think their offense is that good. They're a bottom several offense here. Maybe they're a little bit better than that. The Reds have also not been a good offense, though. They've been bottom. They're the second worst offense right now based on OPS. I don't know if that's going to continue either. Like, look at these teams you have at the bottom of the pack right now. Seattle, Mets, even the Reds. Like, you got to think some of these offenses are actually better than this. But it's a new year, man, so you can't base everything off of last year entirely. So I don't know exactly. Cincinnati, they used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Not too bad. San Francisco also used 3. The usage about the same for both teams pretty much. So Cincinnati probably has a slight bullpen edge just based on their current form. Tyler Mahle is pitching for the Giants here. He has not pitched well so far this year. He's no longer on Texas, so it seems like he's not having a good time of it anymore. Even though it seems like San Francisco usually does have pretty good pitching coaching, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's not enough. 4.3 ERA for him, 1.57 WHIP. None of that is good. 15-7 strikeout walk ratio. His strikeout rate is pretty good, more than 1 per inning, but that's too many walks. He's allowed more than 1 hit per inning. That's not good, although his last start was a little bit better. He shut out Philadelphia for 5 innings, so maybe he's trending a bit in the right direction. However, it was also his wildest start with 4 walks, so that is not exactly good. I don't really trust him right now. The Reds don't have much experience against him, though. They only have 2 hitters who have ever seen him before, but they combined for a .538 batting average and .1418 OPS against him. .1418, the year, 2-1 strikeout walk ratio. Really, all the damage is Brian Hayes, though. So if you want a sneaky player prop there, I don't even know who that is, but he's 7 for 11 with a home run and a walk and a double and 1 strikeout off of Mahle, so he might be able to do damage against him. It's a weird handicap there because Mahle's unfamiliar to most of the Reds hitters, which should be an advantage to him, but there's a lot of game film on him, and the guys that have seen him, at least really just Hayes, has hit him really well. Willie Mays Hayes, Rhett Lauder is pitching for Cincinnati. He's been okay. 3.31 ERA, 1.22 whip. We did get a win going under, I believe, in that game with him against Texas there, which was his best start of the season. He's actually struggled in his other two starts so far. Overall, his numbers are actually not particularly good, even though I think he does have some talent. But his strikeout rate is low, 11 strikeouts in 16 and third innings. 6 walks is not good. He's walked multiple guys in every outing. That's not good. Fewer than 1 hit per inning is pretty good. But overall, yeah, Lauder, he looks like he's struggling a little bit here. But the Giants, only Adames has ever seen him before, and he's 0 for 2 off him. No walks, no strikeouts. So unfamiliarity kind of on both sides here. But Rhett Lauder, he's the way younger pitcher, so there's a lot less game film on him. I think I am going to lean to Cincinnati in this game. It looks like the money is coming in that way. San Francisco initially did move up to minus 106 on the money line, but 53% of tickets, 58% of the cash on Cincinnati. Current form and, just less game film on the guy. I think I would prefer Lauder. And Cincinnati, their bullpen just has been a bit better than San Francisco so far this year. So, yeah, I think that would be my opinion in that game. It's not strong, but that would be my opinion. Next game up, we're going to have a bet in this next game, and I like this one. I mean, I better like it if I'm recommending it as a bet. So it's going to be a total, and we're going to go over. I would get the key number of 9. You have to pay a little bit for it at minus 120. If it gets over that, I mean, you're looking at 9.5. You'll get a better price on it. I think I probably still would go over the 9.5, but it's a lot worse than going over 9. Baseball, not that many runs are scored. 9 is a key number because as I always say, one of the teams has to win. So if it's a 4-4 tie, you get that 9th run automatically by default because of that. But yes, I found it out there at minus 120 at the over 9. I like the over here, Washington and Pittsburgh. Now, looking at just the numbers that these teams have put up so far, I don't know if I quite buy these numbers, but Washington has the 4th best OPS, so they've been really good offensively this year. Pittsburgh's 7th. So both these offenses have been really hitting well. And we're going to ride that in this game at least because I think the pitching matchup is also conducive to it. Washington has just a terrible bullpen. 3rd worst, but I think they might be worse than that. I think they might be the absolute worst. ERA-wise, they are. So they're a horrible bullpen. So we could definitely leave them in the equation and fade them. Pittsburgh hasn't been that good either. Their bullpen ERA looks decent, but they're 20th right now in bullpen whip. Not exactly the greatest, even though, yeah, they're the better of these two bullpens. But then what did these bullpens do yesterday? Well, Washington used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, so their bullpen is pretty taxed right now, and it's not a good bullpen. Pittsburgh's has had some usage as well over the last couple of days, although only 3 relief pitchers yesterday. So, yes, Pittsburgh has used fewer of their relief pitchers. Yes, Pittsburgh does have a bullpen edge in this game, but I do not like either bullpen in this game, and I don't like either starter either. As far as what happened in the game yesterday, by the way, both teams, they split the series so far. Pittsburgh won in a blowout in the first game, then they lost by 1 yesterday. So, maybe Pittsburgh could be in a bounce back, but we're going total here. Jake Irvin is pitching for Washington. He's been fade material, 7.07 ERA, 1.5 whip. And while, yes, I think he is better than that, he has good strikeout stuff at least. He has more than 1 strikeout per inning, and he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning, but he's been wild, dude. 8 walks and 16 strikeouts. That's not really going to cut it. I know he's faced some good offenses here, the Cubs, the Dodgers, Milwaukee. Cubs have been struggling a bit, though. Pittsburgh, not a great offense, but they've been hitting well this season. Irvin is clearly not really in good form right now because his walk number has gone up in every outing. He walked 5 in his last outing and threw 100 pitches. That's not particularly good. And then against Pittsburgh, his numbers are not good, so I think they could definitely hit him. In 41 at bats, 9-6 strikeout walk ratio, 293 batting average allowed, 871 OPS. Not good numbers. So, yeah, we can fade Irvin here. And on the other side, Mason Montgomery is listed as the starter for Pittsburgh. I don't know if he really will be, though, because he's only 25, so there is maybe room for improvement here, but he's been a relief pitcher for his whole career so far, and he did put up some good numbers out of Tampa Bay's bullpen. the first season they had him, but then his full season, because he only made 9 appearances that first season he was in the majors. His full season last year, he was pretty awful. His strikeout rate was actually great. He had way more strikeouts than innings pitched. So, yeah, he is definitely a strikeout guy. His walk number was egregiously bad, though, and he allowed more than 1 hit per inning. So he was putting a ton of guys on base. And this year hasn't really been any better. 6.14 ERA, 1.91 whip. The problem is, I don't know what they're doing with him because he literally pitched yesterday. And, yes, he had 1 clean inning yesterday, but it was a good inning. 1 good inning, okay, fine. But what does that mean? He's going to give you 1 inning today? He's going to be the opener? Is that what we're doing here? I think so. I think he's going to be the opener, and then you're going to get Pittsburgh's bullpen for the rest of the game. And I'm kind of old school, man. I don't like these bullpen games, and I know there are certain teams that do them, and it works out okay. But with a bullpen that's not that good, like Pittsburgh's, they're a little bit used up over the last couple of days. I don't like the idea against a hot-hitting Washington lineup, too. I think there are going to be some runs here on both sides. So, yeah, I don't like it, man. Even though, yes, managers can manage that thing and mix and match the matchups with those pitchers. Bringing in pitcher after pitcher does keep the opposing lineup off guard a little bit. So there is that, but I still don't like it. I think we're going to get runs in this game. I do lean Pittsburgh, though. So I actually lean to that bullpen situation over Jake Irvin. That doesn't say much about Irvin. Irvin plus Washington's bullpen, I guess I would say. Pittsburgh's up to minus 172. We don't really see any percentages on this yet, but the total is still sitting around 9. And, yeah, we're going to go over that total. All right. Anaheim at the Yankees. These teams, I think, have split the first 2 games. Anaheim could have 2 wins in this series so far, man. The Yankees could be on a what is it? What would it be? A 7-game losing streak? But instead they won that 1 game and they pulled it out of their ass 2 days ago with a win. After losing by 2 in the bottom of the 9th, they won. And then yesterday they got hammered by Anaheim yesterday. Clearly, though, we know the Yankees are the better team, though. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. Even though Anaheim has been the 10th best offense so far this year, Yankees have been 20th. Based on what their lineups look like, I think you got to just think that the Yankees are the better offense, and at some point they're going to turn it around. But current form, maybe not so much. As far as the bullpens, Anaheim's bullpen is bad. They're a bottom several bullpen here. Yankees haven't been great, but they're kind of middle of the pack here. So neither bullpen is great, but I think the Yankees do have a better bullpen than Anaheim's tragic bullpen situation they have going on there. The Yankees only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Anaheim also used 2. So usage kind of a wash. Jack Kohanowitz is pitching for Anaheim. Maybe he's not that bad, man. I mean, I know I've trashed this guy for a long time because his numbers have just been absolutely atrocious to the point where I was like, how is this guy even still in the starting rotation? Maybe he's proven me wrong. I don't know, man. I mean, his numbers are at least tolerable this year. 3.24 ERA, 1.26 whip is a little bit high, but based on how he's pitched so far in his career, you can't complain about this, man. However, there is one complaint that you can level against him, though, and that is the walk number is atrocious still. So I still am not sold on this guy. He's gone 16 2/3 innings so far. 10 hits allowed is good. He's not been very hittable, but 12 strikeouts. I'm willing to overlook that if your command is good, but it's not. He's walked 11 guys, so that is still a problem, man. Big-time problem with the command there. Even though he is coming off a good start against Cincinnati where he allowed 2 hits in 7 innings and only allowed 1 earned run in a hitter-friendly ballpark in Cincinnati. But he walked more guys than he struck out. You can't keep doing that, man. He's done that twice in his 3 starts so far. So I still can't trust him, even though his ground ball rate is pretty good. He's inducing more ground balls than fly balls. That is something you do kind of want to see because it means you're probably going to give up fewer home runs. So he's not allowing home runs. I still don't know how trustworthy he is, though, man. His numbers against the Yankees are a little bit hard to read. 26 at-bats, not a big sample. 6.4 strikeout walk ratio. Of course, you know that's not going to be that good. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys. He walks too many guys, so that kind of reflects in these numbers as well here. 231 batting average allowed, 795 OPS allowed. That's not that good. I'm not sure that I expect him to do particularly well here, man. Luis Gil on the other side for the Yankees did not get off to a good start. His numbers don't look good, obviously. 6.75 ERA, 1.5 whip. I think he's better than that, but he's been kind of injury-plagued. He's a guy that does throw hard and gets a lot of strikeouts usually, but he's wild. He walks too many guys. His one start that he made so far, he went 4 innings. He had to throw 88 pitches at Tampa Bay at the Trop. That's not a good sign. Very inefficient with his pitches. He had 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. Only allowed 3 hits, but gave up 3 earned runs. It wasn't a good outing for him. He is better than that, though, and his numbers against Anaheim are good. In 29 at-bats, 8-2 strikeout walk ratio, 103 batting average allowed, and 403 OPS. So that's not too bad, although 2 of the 3 hits he's allowed to them have been extra base hits, with a double from Josh Lowe and a home run from Logan O'Hoppe. I don't know, man. I don't know what we're going to get out of these pitchers. Gil does have the better matchup numbers. I'll lean Yankees in the game. The money is agreeing with that. They're at minus 177 here. So you do have to lay a bit of a price on them. But I think Gil is actually better than Kohanowitz. Even though you look at the numbers, it makes it look like the opposite is the case. But I'm not going to buy into that. 68% of tickets, 75% of the cash on the Yankees. I think it's bounced back after a horrible game yesterday. Yeah, that would be my opinion there. Gil has the better matchup numbers, like I said, at the very least. You'd have to lay like a -1 run line, though. Make your own -1 run line. I would not disagree with an over in this game either, though. I don't know how much you can really trust either starting pitcher or really either bullpen. But that total's gone way up. It's gone from 9 to 10.5 now. It's headed towards 11. Maybe there's some weather involved here. Maybe there's wind or something in Yankee Stadium. I don't know. Wind is usually not that much of a factor there, but I don't know. It's a pretty hitter-friendly park generally, though. 86% of tickets and 99% of the cash on the over. I don't know, but if you were going to go over, you missed out on the best number, but it probably wasn't available that long. Still, I think over is worth considering in that game, but probably I would prefer probably the Yankees, though, like making your own -1 run line there. It's actually a situation where I think maybe you don't have to pay too much for the Yankees, even though usually you do. That's on Amazon Prime Video, by the way. But yeah, I think the Yankees have the better starting pitcher by a little bit there, the better bullpen, even though they both stink, and the better offense, I would say, even though they're not in the better form. All right, Miami at Atlanta. These teams have split the first 2 games of the series. I think the series might continue tomorrow, too. But I think it means both teams are going to show up anyway for this, trying to win the series. Bullpen usage. Atlanta used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. They've been a good bullpen this year, but they did have a lot of usage yesterday. Miami had a little bit less. Miami only used 2 relief pitchers. Both teams have been good. Bullpen-wise, Atlanta still ranked number 1 in whip, even though I don't really think they're the best bullpen, but they've been good. Miami's been good as well at 7th. I still think neither of these bullpens are quite as good as that, but they've done well so far. Atlanta also has hit well so far. They're at 3rd in offense, and Miami's not bad either at 9th. So both offenses and both bullpens have performed pretty well so far. So we got to take that into account, even though I think there might be some regression in store in both cases there. Miami might have a little bit of a bullpen edge here, really, just because they're a little bit more rested. Chris Paddock is pitching for the Marlins, though, and he has not been good. Throughout his career, he hasn't been good, but his numbers this season also not good. 6.14 ERA, 1.57 whip. He pitched well in his last outing, though, against Detroit. So he's kind of improved from start to start for the most part. So he is trending in the right direction. I mean, his 14-5 strikeout walk ratio is not that bad. He's allowed too many hits, though. He's allowed 3 home runs. He's allowed 18 hits in 14 2/3 innings. That's been the problem. Hittability. He's definitely been too hittable. Against the Braves, doesn't have really good numbers. They've seen a lot of him. 81 at-bats. I actually don't even know how the Braves have seen him that much. Oh, I guess I forgot he was in the National League early in his career. I guess that's where it came from. It's been a while, though, since 2021, but he was on San Diego. I forgot about that. But anyway, the Braves have a 272 average against him, 832 OPS in 81 at-bats, 13-5 strikeout walk ratio. Yaz absolutely destroys him for what that's worth. He's 9 for 23 with 3 doubles and 3 home runs off him. 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. So player prop potential there. I recommend hits plus runs plus RBIs, although I'm not a prop guy. But it looks like Paddock, could get hit around in this game. He's going up against Bryce Elder, who I still can't figure out, dude. He looks amazing in some starts, and he looks absolutely atrocious in some starts. This year he's been mostly good, though. 1.02 ERA, 1.02 WHIP. Can he continue that? I don't think so, but remains to be seen. I mean, his numbers across the board are pretty good so far. 17 2/3 innings. He's allowed 13 hits, 16 strikeouts, 5 walks. Nothing that you can really pick at there too much. Like, that's not bad. But his most recent start was by far his worst of the 3 against Cleveland. He didn't make it 5 innings. He walked 3 guys, allowed a home run, only allowed 2 earned runs, but that wasn't good. So he is kind of trending in the wrong direction, and I still don't really trust him. If you look at, his stats, like last 2 seasons, he had really bad seasons. First 2 seasons of his career were fine, although his whip was kind of too high. I don't know what happened, man. There might have been an injury that happened to him in 2024, would be my guess, because it was a shortened season, and basically surrounding that, he just has never returned to form. Don't know what we're going to get out of him this season, man. Like I said, he's really a mystery right now. His numbers against Miami are pretty bad, though, in 30 at-bats, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. That's not good. I mean, it's a low walk number. You can give him that, I guess, but not good strikeout stuff there. 367 batting average, allowed 887 OPS. Not really good numbers there at all. I think you could definitely go over in this game. That would probably be my recommendation, although the bullpens, you kind of have to dodge the bullpens, but Atlanta used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. I don't think the bullpens are as good as people think they are, at least right now. Total is sitting at 9, juice to the under, but yeah, I think my preference would be over. It's a pretty high total for a reason, and if both starters don't last in the game, then you're going to have to get, that's worse for the bullpens, of course. So I usually will not go over in the first 5 innings and try to avoid a good bullpen when going over, you know what I mean? Because if you're going over, you're basically saying you think the starters are going to kind of get knocked out early, and that kind of just dominoes into the bullpens. 86% of tickets, 100% of the cash on the over. Doesn't really mean anything to me. It looks like Atlanta's a very public side, though, at minus 168. Don't know if they deserve to be that much of a favorite with Bryce Elder on the mound. I think people are kind of just looking at the numbers and thinking this is a gigantic mismatch between these 2 starters. I don't really think that it is, though. Even if I do think Elder is better than Paddock, I don't think it's by that much. 88% of tickets, 86% of the cash on Atlanta. So the money is fading Atlanta in that one, and Atlanta's a public side. So I would not really want to be on the Atlanta side in that game. Just throwing that out there. That and Atlanta did win yesterday, so if the zigzag holds, then maybe Miami would be the side to look at in that game. But I don't really have a good gauge on that. I think my preference is over in that game. Tampa Bay at the White Sox. This game, unfortunate. Yeah, we took the loss yesterday in that one. Maybe the White Sox could bounce back here. I don't know. That was the first game of the series. As far as bullpen usage, White Sox used a lot. I think both teams used kind of a lot yesterday. White Sox used 4. Tampa Bay also used 4. So the bullpens are not really in good shape here. And in fact, both bullpens have been bad on the season. White Sox have been the 4th worst. Tampa Bay has been the 6th worst bullpen. So both bullpens are definitely fadeable here, and they've been used up. So don't really want anything to do with the bullpens in this game, whatever we do, unless we're fading them. The White Sox have had the worst offense in baseball, though. But this might be a game where they could put up some against that Tampa Bay bullpen. They did put up some runs yesterday as well. Tampa Bay, their bullpen has been middle of the pack. They're actually climbing up towards the top. Offense. What are we talking about? Tampa Bay's bullpen's been bad, although I think their bullpen might be a little bit better than it looks. I think Tampa is the better bullpen by a little bit. But anyway, Tampa is the better offense. I don't think that's in question. They're 11th best right now. I think that might be overrating them a little bit, but the White Sox definitely have a pretty putrid offense. The starting pitching matchup, though, looks pretty ugly. Jesse Scholtens is getting the start for the Rays. He's a converted reliever. I know he has a 0 ERA this year and a 1.07 whip. He's only made 1 appearance. I think it was out of the bullpen because I don't remember handicapping him. It was against the Cubs. He held them scoreless for 4 2/3. You got to give him credit for that. That was a good outing for him. But I just don't think we could trust him. His career numbers, his ERA is over 5, 1.5 whip. He's only pitched in 2023 where he was a starter for this White Sox team for a bit. And then he made 2 appearances last year for Tampa Bay, and that's his entire career. That's not a good sign when he's 32, you know. He's not really a trustworthy pitcher. I mean, maybe he gets up for it because this will be his first appearance against the White Sox, the team that he spent pretty much his only major league career numbers pretty much all came with them. So maybe he will get excited to pitch against them, but I don't know if that's enough, man. I don't think he's good enough. They haven't seen him before, but again, I don't even know if that's enough. He'll be going up against Sean Burke, who is a young guy that does have some upside. He has actually pitched well. Like last year, it was Smith that was the better of the 2 Massachusetts pitchers that the White Sox have, but Burke has been the better of the 2 this year so far. He has a 3.6 ERA, 1.07 whip. That's not bad at all. 15-3 strikeout walk ratio is not bad either, and he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning, so he's actually been good, and he's done that against Milwaukee on the road, Toronto, and Baltimore. I know Toronto's got a bunch of offensive injuries, but still, I mean, these are not like extremely weak offenses that he's facing here, so he actually has been pretty good. Against Tampa Bay, though, not so good. In 22 at-bats, it's a small sample. Maybe he's found something and he's better this year, so maybe you can ignore these numbers a bit, but they're not good numbers. 5-4 strikeout walk ratio against them, 318 batting average allowed, 969 OPS. Those numbers are still not looking too good. I think I would go over in this game. That would be my preference probably. I think both pitchers could be kind of fadeable here. I know I don't love either offense here, obviously, especially not the White Sox, but with this setup, with these bullpens, I think you could see some runs again in this one. The total is definitely a manageable one at 8, and it's actually gone down a bit. Although we see 67% of tickets, 99% of the cash on the over. I don't know how to read that cash percentage, but I like the over in that one. That would be my preference. The money's coming in on Tampa Bay, which is insane. They're minus 113, 70% of tickets, 86% of the cash on them. I don't agree with that. I would lean to the White Sox. They have the more trustworthy starter here. You know, I don't even know. Maybe I would limit it to first 5 just to avoid that horrendous bullpen that the White Sox have. But Tampa Bay's bullpen hasn't been good either. So I don't know. I think getting the White Sox at a little bit of an underdog price again with the more trustworthy starter on the mound, in my opinion, that might be worth a look, even though his matchup numbers aren't that good. I think I would lean that way, but I think I'd probably prefer over in that one. Oh, man. We're at an hour in, and we still have a bunch of baseball to talk about. Oh, boy. Yesterday, it was like a 2-hour show. All right. And we still have one more play, and the market doesn't agree with it, so that's great. Fading the market, baby. It's not this next game, Toronto and Milwaukee. That game did not stay under yesterday, although it did go to extra innings, so it wasn't as bad as it looked. But, yeah, I apologize. I did not add that to my card, though, so, you know, that I felt it wasn't as strong, but I liked the under in that game. That didn't happen. The under first 5 innings was closer, but I think that still went over. Maybe it pushed, actually. Let me see. What happened in this game? I know it went to extra innings, though. I want to see the box score here. Yeah, so we had 4 runs come across in the 10th, and 5 came across in the 9th. So if you had the under, you really kind of got screwed in that game, you know? Because that was, what was the score at that point? It was 4-2 going into the 9th inning. Even though that didn't give you that much leeway, but still, you kind of got screwed because 2 runs were needed in the 9th inning to get that thing over, I think. So, yeah, first 5, if you found a 4, you were able to push the first 5 at least. But, yeah, not great. But that game was not anywhere near as high scoring as it really looked. Like a ton of runs came home late. We got to get rid of the ghost runner, man. Anyway, in this game, if you look at the bullpen usage, it's going to be high because it was an extra inning game. Toronto used 5 relief pitchers in that game. Milwaukee also used 5. So the bullpens are probably fadeable, or you probably want to fade them in this one. Toronto has not had a very good bullpen this year. They're at 17th in whip, which is not very good. Their ERA is pretty bad as well. Brewers have really fallen off whip-wise. They're down at 21st, even though their ERA is a bit more manageable. Neither of these bullpens have really been that good. Hitting-wise, the Brewers have been pretty good. They're 6th. Toronto's been dealing with some injuries, but their offense is still pretty capable, and they're 12th. So this game is looking like maybe there might be some runs coming home in this one, late at least in this game. Dylan Cease is pitching for the Blue Jays. He's got a really nice looking 2.45 ERA, but I got my questions with him, man. As you know, he's got a pretty bad whip at 1.43, and that I think is more indicative because that tells you how many guys you're putting on base. Cease is still having the same problems, man. These problems don't cease to exist. He's very inefficient with his pitches. He gets up close to 100 pitches in 5 innings, basically every single start. He's got a good strikeout rate, but it's almost too high. 26 strikeouts in 14 2/3. You're throwing too many pitches, man. And he's got 9 walks. I mean, overall, that ratio looks pretty good, but in the amount of innings, that is a high walk number. And he hasn't been that hittable. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning, but the walk number is insane. He's putting way too many guys on base via the walk, even though he's got really, really huge strikeout stuff. Again, I don't think that's good enough. I think he's worse than he looks right now. His numbers against the Brewers are actually good, though. In 61 at-bats, 20-7 strikeout walk ratio, 230 average allowed, 620 OPS. That's not bad at all. Maybe he'll do well in this game. He is going up against Chad Patrick, who is kind of under the radar. His numbers are a little bit weird this year, though. 0.73 ERA, really good, but obviously unsustainable. And 1.38 whip indicates that his ERA should be like 4 or something. That's not a good whip at all. His strikeout walk rate ratio is pretty bad, 7-5. He's not really a strikeout guy. That's in 12 1/3 innings, but he's allowed 1 hit per inning, basically, with the 5 walks on top of that. That's not great. 3 of them came against Kansas City, though. But he's put together 3 kind of manageable starts here, but the problem is he hasn't got deep into some of these starts, and I don't know what happened. In his most recent start, he had 3 shutout innings against Washington, and then they took him out at 50 pitches. I'm not sure what happened in that game. He had 1 walk and no strikeouts, which isn't good, but you'd think they would have left him in. I don't know what that was. So, I don't know. It's hard to gauge Patrick here, but he is unfamiliar to Toronto, so he might have a little bit of an extra edge here because when these young pitchers that do have some talent are unknown to the starting hitters, or to the opposing hitters, I mean, the pitcher usually does have a bit of an extra advantage. They're only 1 for 6 off him. 2 of their hitters have seen him before. The only hit is Jesus Sanchez single. They have 1 strikeout, no walks against him. But again, very small sample, but he is unfamiliar to them. Now, Milwaukee, I believe they're looking for a sweep. Or no, excuse me, Milwaukee, not Milwaukee, Toronto. I was going to say Toronto's looking for a sweep, but that's not the case. But Milwaukee has lost 6 games in a row, I think is what I was thinking. So they're looking to end this losing streak still. And every one of these games, they were a favorite, I'm pretty sure, except for maybe the ones at Boston. But all the home games, they were a favorite, and they've lost all of them. Milwaukee's not as bad as that, and I think this might be a bounce-back spot for Milwaukee here, man. You're actually getting Milwaukee as an underdog at home, and I know Cease has decent numbers against them, but he's not as good as people think he is, and maybe he shouldn't be a road favorite in a game like this, man. So I think Milwaukee, they're going to break out of this slump at some point. It might be here, but the money's coming in on Toronto here. I don't really agree with it, though. Toronto's up to -123, 68% of the cash on them, 52% of the tickets on Milwaukee. It is a low total. It's 7.5, which I don't agree. Yeah, I think the game's going to go over. I mean, with the bullpen situation that's there, yeah, I mean, I'd probably lean over, even though usually I lean under those low totals, but I just don't see it in this case. I also think Cease is not as good as his ERA would suggest. Patrick probably also not as good as his ERA would suggest. So over makes some sense in this game. But I like Milwaukee, and the money's disagreeing with it, man. I think this might be the spot where Milwaukee breaks out of the slump, like I said, getting them as a home dog with a starting pitcher that's unfamiliar to the opposing hitters against a starting pitcher who I think is overrated in Cease. So, yeah, that would be my opinion in that game. Colorado at Houston. Colorado was able to kind of backdoor that run line part of the bet yesterday, at least. Houston, though, they were able to break a long losing streak. So a lot of times when a team breaks out of a losing streak like that, it will give them momentum moving forward. And Houston was the better team in the game last night, and they did get a little bit of a scare. So I think it is a positive spot for Houston to show up with a focused effort here at the very least. As far as the bullpens, both these bullpens are pretty bad. I think both games in the series have gone over so far, right? So this has definitely been Oh, no. Why do I think it's 2 games in the series? It's only been 1. But, yes, it did go over. So this does seem like kind of an over type of series here, over type of matchup, even though it's not at Coors Field. Houston used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. That's not good. Colorado only used 3, but neither bullpen is very good. Houston's is the worst in baseball right now, based on a lot of the metrics. They've been awful. Colorado has actually been better bullpen-wise. They're somewhere middle of the pack right now. Yeah, they're 11th, so give them credit. Their bullpen hasn't been as bad, so I'll actually give Colorado a bullpen edge in this game, but I don't think it's that significant. I don't like either bullpen here. Houston's been really good on offense. They're second still in OPS. Colorado started out hot, but they've fallen a bit. I don't think their offense is very good. On the road, they're really not that good. Typically, if you're looking at like the last few years, the way Colorado's played, which makes sense anyway. Coors is more of a hitter-friendly park. Colorado, they're 17th in OPS right now. Not a great offense. Jose Quintana will pitch for Colorado here. I'd already forgotten about him. He made 1 start this season, and then he got hurt, and now he's coming back. I mean, he's a veteran, so he's definitely used to this. So I don't know if he's going to really be thrown off by coming back from injury. I think he'll be ready to get back out there, but his first start was a little bit questionable. He's got a 4.15 ERA, 1.85 whip. He walked 4 guys in 4 1/3 innings in that outing. That was really the main problem there against Miami. The walk number was really bad. But he actually had a pretty good season last year, I think, with Milwaukee. So Quintana, I mean, he's still giving it a go out there, man. He's not a hard thrower, so you don't really have to worry about his velocity having fallen off throughout his career or whatever. He's a guy that relies on command and control and placing the pitches correctly and whatever. Against Houston, his numbers are okay in 66 career at bats, 14-2 strikeout walk ratio, 273 batting average allowed, 673 OPS. Those numbers are not bad, and I think he might do okay here. I think he might be pumped to get back out there after having to deal with another injury there. Obviously, they think he's ready to get him back out there. And again, he's been in the league for forever, so he's not going to be intimidated or anything like that. He's used to this. Whereas Spencer Arrighetti is pitching for Houston. It looks like he, what is he, Jesus now? He looks like he hasn't cut his hair since last year, which is the last time he pitched in the majors. He hasn't pitched since last year, so he might be the one that has the nerves on him, man, because he's still a young guy, and he hasn't pitched since last season. I think he got hurt or something. His career numbers aren't really very good, though. 4.69 ERA, 1.4 whip is way too high. His problem is his walk rate is unbelievably high. Like, his strikeout rate is really good. He comes in there and he blows people away. He has good strikeout stuff, but his walk number is incredibly high. He walks way too many guys. So that's his issue. He throws hard. He's wild. Now, he might not be quite ready. I mean, obviously they think he's ready. I'm sure he pitched in the minors this year. I decided not to play the game anyway, so I didn't look at what his numbers looked like in the minors. I mean, if you want to go do that, you can go find that on multiple different sites. But, again, his first start in the majors since somewhere in the middle of last year. He might be a little bit shakier than Quintana. So I think Quintana, I've talked about this before, right, on the show. I think Quintana has a little bit of an advantage because he does have 1 start under his belt this season, whereas Arrighetti doesn't. And Quintana has more experience, obviously, way more. Now, Arrighetti against the Rockies, his numbers are good, though. 16 at-bats, 4-1 strikeout walk ratio, 188 batting average allowed, 485 OPS. So he has done well against Colorado in the past. What do we do with this game? I don't want anything to do with it, but the money is pretty heavily indicating on Colorado, so do with that information what you want. Even though I know I did say it's kind of a bounce, not really a bounce back, but kind of a new momentum situation for Houston. I don't know if I agree with Houston in this game. The price is pretty high at -179, given how bad their bullpen is, and you could make the argument that Quintana has an edge over Arrighetti, like I just did. You could definitely make the argument Colorado has the better bullpen as well. I made that argument last night, and we got the push on the game last night, but you could do a similar thing and make a +1 run line with Colorado here. 67% of tickets on Houston, 53% of the cash on Colorado. I kind of lean that way as well. I'm not going to disagree with the market in that one. I don't hate it in that one. All right, Seattle at San Diego. First, first instinct when you see Seattle and San Diego is these two teams pitch well. This is a pitcher-friendly park, no matter which one of these teams is the home team. So, my mind is just under. Makes sense in a game like this. It might in this game as well. San Diego won the game last night 4-1. They're pretty hot right now. They won a bunch of games in a row. Their hitting has gotten a bit better, although it's still middle of the pack. Both these offenses started out really cold. San Diego's turned it around a bit more. Both these offenses do have talent, though. But Seattle has struggled offensively so far. They're still in the bottom third. San Diego's moved up to the middle of the pack. I think San Diego is kind of a mediocre to good offense, I would say. But I think Seattle also is. They just haven't turned it around yet. Both bullpens are in the top 3 in whip now. And I don't disagree that both bullpens are very good. So I think we know that. We have good bullpens. Offense is maybe a little bit questionable. San Diego used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Seattle done a really good job at managing their bullpen this year. Their bullpen seems to always be rested, which maybe makes their numbers a bit better than maybe they should be. But even so, they got some talent in that bullpen. They're usually rested. Good bullpen management and whatever from this Seattle team. They only used 1 relief pitcher yesterday is what I was trying to say. So both bullpens look pretty good coming into this one. Emerson Hancock is pitching for Seattle. He's off to a good start this season, man. I mean, he's a guy that came in with some hype, and he hasn't really lived up to the hype at all. His career numbers aren't that good, but this season, can't really argue with what he's done this season. 2.04 ERA. 0.74 whip. I mean, I guess the only argument would be he hasn't pitched that much yet. But he's got a 19-3 strikeout walk ratio and only 10 hits allowed in 17 2/3 innings. All those numbers are good. I guess the one other argument you could make is he's getting a little bit worse. He just had his worst start of the season so far against Houston. He only lasted 5 innings. Did hold them still to 3 earned runs and still picked up a win in that outing. And had 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. Houston's been hitting really well this year, so I don't think that was really that bad of an outing. And against San Diego, he's seen them a bit, and he has good numbers against them for the most part. 32 at-bats, 3.2 strikeout walk ratio is not that good, but 219 batting average allowed, 608 batting average, or OPS. That would be ridiculous, batting average. 608 OPS, those are good numbers against San Diego. So I think maybe we can actually trust Hancock here. Maybe we have to change our opinions on both guys because Randy Vasquez is pitching for San Diego here. He's a guy that is still pretty young, and he's got some upside as well. And I've talked about how he walks way too many guys, and I just think that he kind of stinks. But I might have to change my thoughts about him, man, because he is starting to pitch better, and I can't really argue with his numbers. 1.02 ERA, 1.08 whip this season. I mean, I'll argue that ERA is unsustainably low, but looking at his numbers, they've been good this season, similar to Hancock in 17 2/3 innings, 19 strikeouts, 4 walks, 15 hits allowed. None of that is bad, and he doesn't seem to be regressing, on the wrong trajectory or whatever. He's been pretty solid in all 3 starts. So, yeah, he's off to a good start. And against Seattle, they really haven't seen much of him. They only have 3 hitters who've ever faced him before, and the majority of it is Brendan Donovan, who's 2 for 8 off him with a triple. They only have 9 at-bats total against him with a 222 batting average, 1 strikeout, 2 walks. Josh Naylor does have 2 walks against him, and an 808 OPS. So overall, yeah, I think you have 2 good bullpens. I think you have 2 starting pitchers where the public is going to look, and these are not named pitchers. Let's just put it that way. The public is not going to want to play an under in this game with a pitching matchup with these names. But I think the under does make sense in this game. I think, again, you have 2 starters that have looked good so far this season. Bullpens are good. It's a pitcher-friendly ballpark. The offenses are a bit in question right now. I like the under here. The total is at 8. It's actually gone up, so the money's actually disagreeing with me, but I think under makes sense here. 75% of tickets, 99% of the cash on the over. Total up to 8, so you're getting it above that key number 7.5 there. Do with this information what you want, and the money is coming in on San Diego for what that's worth. They flipped to a minus 111 favorite. 61% of tickets are on Seattle, so the public still wants Seattle because they have that perception of having the better offense, which isn't even true this season so far. And, because of Seattle had all the hype coming into the season again. They made the ALCS last year, almost won that, whatever. 50% of the cash on San Diego, though. I don't really have a reason to disagree. I mean, it does look like Hancock. You could make the argument that he is on the wrong trajectory a little bit with his worst start being the most recent one. You don't really see that with Vasquez right now, so I'm not going to really disagree with the San Diego side there, but I think under is the way I prefer there. And speaking of going against the market, we're doing it in this last game. This last game is a best bet. Texas at the A's, and this is a rarity for me where we're going to have 2 overs today. We're going to go over in Texas and the homeless A's here. This one I know is above that key number 9.5 already. I saw the 9.5 out there at -114, -115. That's probably what I would do. If you want to go the over 10, it's really not that much of a difference because the key number is 9. So if this number gets a little bit too high, like I would not lay -120 just to get 9.5 instead of 10. You know what I mean? There's like no difference between those two numbers because the key numbers are all the odd numbers. So I would just move up to going with 10 at the better price if it was at -120. But I think this game has a lot to it where it might go over. I mean, first of all, we're in the A's, the AAA stadium the A's playing in Sacramento, which everybody knows is a very hitter-friendly environment. So we start off with that. Yeah, it looks like it should be an over type of game here. I wanted to see the weather. We don't really see what the weather looks like here. I wanted to see how warm it's going to be in San Francisco because warmth helps the overs as well. Yesterday's game was a 2-1 game. The first game barely got over the 8.5 that I thought was a low total. So both games so far in the series have gone under this total. It might make people shy away from this total, but I mean, we're still looking at a very hitter-friendly ballpark here. And I think the pitching was actually more conducive to an under than you would think in those last 2 games, where we had Eovaldi gave us a good start in that first game. And then last night was Gore against Springs, dude. I think I mentioned I kind of thought the under was a possibility in that game yesterday, I believe. Those pitchers both were pretty good. That's not what we're looking at here in this pitching matchup here. Now, Texas's bullpen is good, so I know we have to dodge that, but I think if the starter for Texas does not make it that far, we're okay fading their bullpen here. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, though granted, they only used 2 of them for very few pitches, but still, there's a little bit of usage there in the Texas bullpen. The A's bullpen is just not good, and they used 4 relief pitchers as well, though Alvarado for 1 pitch, but whatever. I think both bullpens, the way that we're factoring this into the game, like, first of all, the A's bullpen is fadeable. They're the 23rd best bullpen in WHIP, which is bad. They're a bad bullpen. Texas is a good bullpen. They're 9th best. But, again, I think we could fade them here in this game as well, just because I think the bullpen might have to get more usage than they would want here, and they're not totally rested. Like I said, when you go over, and I never do over first 5 innings, really, because I think if it goes over first 5, I think it's cascading into the bullpens. You know what I mean? Kumar Rocker is pitching for the Rangers. I still don't really trust this guy. 4.5 ERA so far this year isn't too bad. 1.4 WHIP is not exactly good. He's still not looking that good, man. 10 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts is not even that high of a strikeout rate. 3 walks, 11 hits allowed, 2 home runs allowed, 5 earned runs allowed. So the other thing is the home runs have been a problem. He's allowed more fly balls than ground balls here. Couple of home runs. Last year he allowed a lot of home runs. So I think he's definitely fadeable here, even though I know we're looking at the A's here and not the Dodgers who we faced in the last game. But still, you look at what his numbers are against the A's, those aren't good. I know it's a very small 17 at-bat sample size, but they've raked against him. 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 588 batting average, and 1435 OPS. I know that's unsustainably ridiculous, but still, he has not done well against them. And he pitched in this ballpark last year, so yeah, that means he's used to it, but it was an atrocious start in this ballpark. He went 1 2/3. He allowed 5 earned runs on 7 hits, and then hilariously, the bullpen didn't allow anything after he was out of the game, which hopefully that doesn't happen here, but that's highly unlikely. It was an awful start for him in that game, so his start against them in that game wasn't good. I guess that was his only start against the A's last year as well. So, yeah, but the A's at least did have that one game where they did face him last year, and he was not good in this environment. He's going up against JT Ginn, who is, to me, he's not like a full-fledged starter. His numbers look pretty good here, but I think he's mostly worked out of the bullpen. 3.27 ERA, 0.91 whip. Good numbers, yeah, but, not a high strikeout rate. 8 strikeouts in 11 innings. Hasn't allowed a lot of hits. 7 hits, that's fine. 3 walks is a little bit high. I don't think he's that good, and if you look at his numbers this season, just his relief appearances, by far his 2 worst appearances were both in this stadium. Like, his appearances on the road were both scoreless appearances where he went longer. At home, he went 2 innings and 1 1/3 innings, both against Houston, though. I know they've hit well. They're a better offense than Texas, but still. He allowed 2 earned runs in each of those outings. Like, easily his worst 2 outings were his home outings this year. So that's not good. I don't think he pitches well in this ballpark, and we can figure that out because he was pitching in this ballpark last year, and at home he had a 6.85 ERA compared to 3.14 on the road. So he was abysmal at home last year, and he allowed 12 home runs on the road and almost the same, abysmal at home and allowed 12 home runs at home and almost the same amount of innings that he allowed 5 in on the road. So he was allowing home runs. That's not good either. Even though he has a decent ground ball rate, but he was still allowing a lot of home runs in this park, so that's not good. And Texas has seen him for 44 at-bats worth. He doesn't have good numbers against them. 5.5 strikeout walk ratio, 341 batting average allowed, 1,113 OPS. Those are all bad numbers. So these pitchers, they have not pitched well in this stadium. They don't have good matchup numbers against these opposing hitters. I think that might cascade into the bullpens. I don't know if Ginn's going to last in this game that long anyway. The A's bullpen, at the very least, is not good. Hitter-friendly ballpark. We'll do it. We'll go over in this one. But the money is not agreeing with me. Total sitting at 9.5. You might actually be able to get a better number on this. 78% of the tickets on the over and 83% of the cash on the under. What is going on? The money's coming in on the under. Obviously, I don't agree with that. Over the total, is my recommendation here. That's my last play. Maybe it's the weakest of the 3, but we're going with it. The market's not always going to be right, although I don't really like fading the market. But like I said, I find myself doing that more in baseball than any other sport, really. The market's still agreeing with me on the Red Sox for what that's worth. And then we didn't really see good numbers on the other over that I have here. Yeah, very difficult to gauge. Anyway, as far as the side is concerned in this game, the money is indicating on the A's for what that's worth. I don't have a strong opinion on that. 69% of the tickets are on Texas and 54% of the cash on the A's. A's up to minus 115. If you want to make the argument that Ginn is more used to pitching in this stadium than Rocker is, and Rocker got rocked in this stadium, I could see that argument being made, but yeah, I don't feel that strongly about that at all. I like the over. That's where we're going. And then the final game is Mets and Dodgers on ESPN. And then I might take a quick break, and then we really don't have that much to talk about after this. Just hockey, which I have nothing in, and then NBA I'm skipping as well, but at least it's playing stuff, which is interesting at the very least, I guess. Now, this is the end of the series here, and the Mets still have not been able to break out of this slump. They've lost 7 games in a row now. I thought they'd be able to do it yesterday with Nolan McLean on the mound, but I thought it was a pitching matchup in that game as well. The game did go way under McLean against Yamamoto, but the Mets lost the game late in the game. I think it was like an 8th inning run that gave the Dodgers the win last night. That's kind of a brutal way to lose for the Mets. So I don't like that because the Mets might be a little bit hungover after the way they lost that game, and they should have had that win. However, they're still going to show up and try to win this game because they're trying to break this long losing streak. They don't want to get swept here. So there is still that. The Dodgers might just take them lightly after beating them twice already. But then again, they had a little bit of a scare yesterday, but it's still a big win when you beat the Mets. I don't really see the Dodgers looking ahead to Colorado, though. I don't think they really care about that. Looking at this matchup here, Dodgers have been pretty good bullpen-wise so far this year, 6th. The Mets are 8th. I think the Mets might have the slightly better bullpen, though, but the Dodgers definitely have improved a lot from last year's bullpen. which was their one main weakness. Dodgers offense is elite. We know this. We don't have to really go into that. The Mets offense has been terrible this year, but I think they're clearly better than that, but they've been dealing with injuries and stuff like that. But either way, you got to give the Dodgers a hitting edge, but it's probably not as significant as maybe the numbers would suggest right now. Clay Holmes is pitching for the Mets. He has good numbers so far this year, but you know I'm not a fan. 1.5 ERA, 1.11 whip. Those are good numbers, but if you dive into his other numbers, 12 to 8 strikeout walk ratio, that is, I mean, come on, that's not good. He's only allowed 12 hits in 18 innings, so that is good. He hasn't been very hittable, but 8 walks is insane. You can't walk that many guys, man, along with not striking out a lot of guys. Again, it's him and David Peterson, man. They get all these ground balls, and it throws me off because, yet again, Holmes is inducing all these ground balls, and that allows him to get out of a lot of these jams where he's putting these guys on base. But still, when you put guys on base, you know, they're going to score a lot of the time. Like, you can't just keep, like, getting out of jams. Excuse me. I was about to sneeze. I think I stopped it, though. All right. Anyway, but Holmes does have pretty good numbers against the Dodgers, believe it or not, in 37 at-bats, 12-7 strikeout walk ratio, 162 average allowed, 539 OPS allowed. Again, it's too many walks, though. So, again, this is very Holmes-esque, where he's solving mysteries, man. He is a mystery, actually, Mr. Holmes. Yeah, I mean, it's too many walks still against the Dodgers. That's a bad ratio, but, again, he hasn't allowed that many hits to them. But, again, if you keep putting guys on base, even if they don't score as much against you as they do against other people, still, like, you're more likely to give up runs by putting guys on base than by not doing it. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. So you can't keep putting that many guys on base. Shohei Ohtani is pitching for the Dodgers here. He has a 0 ERA in 2 starts this year and a .75 whip. We know he's pretty good. Does have an 8-4 strikeout walk ratio so far, though, so he has walked too many guys, but maybe you give him a pass because it was a shaky first start, maybe where he walked 3 guys, but still 1 hit the Indians in that outing, so that's not even that bad. He's only allowed 5 hits in 12 innings. He's allowed 1 run, and it was unearned. He's been good, no doubt about it. Up against the Mets have not really seen much of him. The Mets only have 36 at-bats against him. Only 3 of their hitters have seen him before. 15-5 strikeout walk ratio, 222 average allowed, and 650 OPS. So the Mets are pretty unfamiliar with him, except for Bo Bichette, because Bo Bichette did see him in the World Series and whatever. Bichette has had some success off him, 3 for 8 with a home run, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. But other than that, they have not had success against Ohtani, and most of the hitters have never faced him before. So I think Ohtani does have a decent matchup here. I think he's the better of the 2 pitchers against Clay Holmes. But the money is fading the Dodgers because they're at -207, down from -220. 89% of the tickets and 74% of the cash on the Dodgers. So the money is saying to take the Mets here. And while I agree the Mets should be motivated to avoid the sweep and break this losing streak, I don't like the matchup here. I don't. I think Ohtani should outpitch Holmes in this one. I mean, I think if you lean that way towards the Dodgers, you know, maybe first 5 inning makes more sense. I haven't looked at the bullpen usage, though. Let me see. Mets only used 1 relief pitcher yesterday. Dodgers only used 2, although I think they might have used their closer because they had to finish it off in the 9th inning last night. Yeah, I mean, maybe you could still go full game, though, because the Dodgers bullpen is still pretty rested. They haven't been that bad this year. I still lean to the Dodgers in this one, man. I just don't see it. Holmes versus Ohtani. The situation and the motivation does kind of say Mets here. I have to try to get that to coincide with the matchup, though, and it's just, yeah, can't figure it out in that one. So the money's looking like it's coming in slightly towards the over in that game as well. You know what? I mean, maybe the better way to do this is to go, you could go Dodgers over their team total just because I don't trust Holmes, but he does have decent numbers against the Dodgers. So there is that. I don't know, man. I just don't want anything to do with the game, obviously, but those are my thoughts on it. You can try to parse my words there, but obviously I don't feel strongly about that game in any particular way. We're going to talk about NHL in a second. I'll be right back, and then we do have NBA. It's not going to be very interesting, really, because NHL, we're at the end of the season where there's not a whole lot of motivation to talk about here. I'm skipping the rest of this, but we will talk about all these games in a second. All right, we got NHL here. We have, what is this, 6 games, I think? I mean, again, none of these games are really that interesting because the motivation just isn't really there, and the playoff field is pretty much settled here. I got the standings up just to double check it, and teams are going to be looking ahead to the playoffs. Like in this first game, Dallas and Buffalo. Buffalo, we already know they're going to play the Bruins because the Bruins won last night, so at least the Bruins get to avoid Carolina. Maybe the Bruins have a shot against Buffalo. Dallas, we know they're playing the Wild in the first round too, so both these teams already know who their first round opponent is going to be. This game's on TNT, HBO Max, True TV. Now, I think Dallas is the better of these two teams. Buffalo kind of came from out of nowhere this year. Dallas is very much a staple here. But again, how do we handicap this game? We don't even really know what motivation is going to be here. Dallas is coming up beating Toronto the other night, which was a game where Dallas actually had to come back in that game. Toronto was beating them 5-3, I think, and Dallas came back and won the game. Maybe you could argue that was a scare. DeSmith was in net there, so probably Ottinger will get the start here just to get him ready for the playoffs and whatever. Buffalo beat Chicago in a blowout 5-1. So, yeah, you know what? I would slightly lean towards Dallas in this game for that reason. Buffalo looks public here for some reason. 92% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Buffalo. I don't really get it. Dallas is at minus 111. I think Dallas coming off that little bit of a scare, bringing their starting goalie back in for this one. Buffalo coming off a blowout, even though it was against a lowly Chicago team. It is their final home game, so maybe they want to give the fans something here and test themselves against Dallas. I'm going to kind of lean towards Dallas here. I wouldn't really disagree with an over either. 77% of tickets, 97% of the cash on the over. Because when you have two teams with the motivation in question here, you don't really tend to see intense defense. So that's something to consider as well there. Zach, what's up, man? Yes, the under hit in that game with the Royals game. Even though your Royals lost that game as well. I didn't care who won or who lost. I just wanted it to go under. Rangers at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, you could argue they have something to play for here because it's still not decided. I think it is decided that they're going to play Montreal, I think. Maybe that's, yeah, I think that is decided. Yeah, we know, yeah, Buffalo already clinched the division. I guess wins are 2 points, not 3. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, we already know Buffalo and Boston is a first-round matchup. So I think that means Tampa and Montreal is a guaranteed first-round matchup as well. But the question is, who's hosting it? So Tampa Bay currently has the tiebreaker, but they need to win to make sure that they stay at home, which they probably do want. But does that mean, is there going to be pressure on them here? Like, what is this game going to look like? The Rangers, obviously, they're done for the season, but they have been better on the road. Maybe they want to try to get a win at the end of the season against a good team here. They're playing a third road game in the last 5 days, which isn't that great. They just lost at Florida, so they are playing in Florida. They're already in Florida. The interesting thing is, well, Tampa Bay just beat Detroit. That was a pretty good win for them, I guess. Will they show up in this game? I mean, it seems like they should if they want to make sure they get home ice against Montreal, who they just lost to, by the way, on the road. And they just lost to Montreal at home, too. Although I'm going to tell you, I like Tampa Bay to beat Montreal in that matchup, I'm pretty sure. I think people are going to be misled. We'll talk about it when it first happens, but Tampa Bay might be a play for me in that in the first game in that series or something like that. Anyway, what else was I gonna say here? Oh yeah. Well, the other thing to consider is the line is way low here. Like Tampa Bay was going to be minus 205, which makes sense, but now they're minus 135. So that means Tampa Bay must be resting some of their guys, but are they really doing that when home ice is on the line? I don't know what's going on here, man. The line, it looks way too easy to play Tampa, though, so I don't think I could do that. 58% of tickets, 80% of the cash on Tampa. Money looks like it is coming in on Tampa. They are the one team here with something to actually technically still play for here. Don't know why the line is where it is, though. I really don't. It probably means Vasilevsky is not going to be in net for them. Yeah, it'll probably be Johansson. I mean, Vasilevsky usually plays a few games in a row. They might want to get him, I guess, rested for the playoffs at this point because he played in the previous game. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in this game. But even if he was not playing, you'd think the line would be higher than this. I'm confused by it. I'm passing on the game. Detroit at Florida. Detroit might be a bit more disappointed because they just got eliminated. I think they got eliminated by New Jersey, and then they came off of that, and they actually put in a big effort at Tampa Bay and lost in overtime. So Detroit might just have nothing left, man. You know, they were that close to maybe making the playoffs. They put in a final gasp, I think, against Tampa Bay. I know Florida's disappointed because they won back-to-back Stanley Cups, and they're not even making the playoffs this year, but they knew that a while ago now, and this is going to be like a final home game for Florida. So I think Florida might actually be the side to look at here. Detroit just might not have anything left for this one. Looks like kind of a hangover spot. Florida beat the Rangers in their last game in a return home spot. This is their last game of the season. They might want to give the fans something to close the season with because they know they're not going to the playoffs. I lean Florida in this one, although the money is not agreeing with me. 77% of tickets, 97% of the cash on Detroit. I don't really get it, although, again, lack of motivation, very difficult to gauge. Detroit up from minus 130 to minus 153, so the money's coming in on Detroit. I don't know. I think you're getting Florida at a decent price here in a very questionable spot for Detroit. Getting Florida as a big dog here. I would not disagree with an over either, though. 62% of tickets, 71% of the cash on the over. It's gone up to 6. Again, because neither team really has much to play for here. Well, neither team has anything to play for, really. So that's the type of game where you tend to get not intense defense. Toronto at Ottawa. Toronto, they're coming off a tough game, man. Like I said, they had the lead against Dallas 5-3, and then they somehow lost the game. So they might be a little bit hungover after that, man, even though these two teams don't like each other. This is the last game of the season for Toronto, so you'd think they'd try to get up for this game. Ottawa might not pay attention because Ottawa's already in the playoffs, so Ottawa's looking forward to the playoffs at this point. So it's really a negative spot for both teams, though. I think Toronto should show up, but it's going to be tough to get off the mat after that Dallas game where they almost pulled off the big upset. Ottawa doesn't have anything to prove here. Ottawa's already locked into the last wild card. We already know Ottawa's playing Carolina, I'm pretty sure, so... And they just beat Carolina in the last game they played against them, by the way. But, yeah, they're not going to beat Carolina in a 7-game series. I'm sorry. Anyway, Ottawa did just lose to the Devils. This is their final home game. They've had a couple of days off here, but I don't know if I see it. I think Ottawa, yeah, they might be looking ahead to the playoffs at this point. I'm going to lean Toronto slightly here. Ottawa's down from minus 225 to minus 181. 72% of tickets, but 87% of the cash on them. So it looks like the money is somewhat indicating on Ottawa. But again, like I was talking about with Tampa Bay, the money being on them, I don't know, could be a little bit misleading. I mean, a lot of it clearly probably just has to do with the price. Like, it might just be professional bettors coming in and saying, holy crap, that price is, like, too low at this point. Let's just take some of it, you know? Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. But, yeah, this game, I think an over makes sense in this Toronto-Ottawa game, too. I know I sound like a broken record, but that's how you handicap these lack of motivation games. 60% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the over. The total is high at 6.5. I agree, especially because Toronto's coming off that almost upset of Detroit, and Ottawa might just start looking ahead. So, yeah, I think over does make sense in that game. San Jose at Chicago. Again, two teams with nothing to play for. Chicago just got blown out by Buffalo at home. Maybe they want to put together one final performance here because they've lost 3 straight home games. Maybe that'll motivate them enough to try to get this win here to finish off the season. San Jose maybe a little bit more disappointed because they did get close to making the playoffs, and they got eliminated despite winning against Nashville. The other things didn't go their way, so they got knocked out anyway. They have a game left tomorrow against Winnipeg, whereas I believe Chicago does not. So Chicago might be a little bit more motivated there too because it's their last game. That was a big win for San Jose against Nashville, so they put in a lot of effort there. We got to win with that game on the show. I think Chicago's the right side on this one. That's the way I would lean in this one. Again, the market doesn't seem to agree. 70% of tickets, 91% of the cash on the Sharks. They're at minus 123. I'd probably lean, towards taking Chicago as the home dog, though. That's, I think, what I would do there. And then Seattle at Vegas. Vegas actually still has something to play for. They could still win their division. They're currently leading their division, but they need to clinch the division still. They're 2 points ahead of Edmonton right now. So there is something to play for, but I think they're going to be overvalued in the market. Now, Seattle might get up for it because it's their last game of the season. They get to play a good team like Vegas. But they do have, actually, it's not their last game of the season, my mistake. They have a game against Colorado next, my mistake. But I think Seattle might get up for a game against Vegas. Thing is, Vegas might get up for this game against them because Vegas lost to Seattle in Seattle recently, and that was the only loss that Vegas has had under the John Tortorella era. Since he came in, they've been a hot team, and Seattle's the only team that beat them. So they might want to get Seattle for that reason too. They might have adjustments to make there because that was a pretty ugly loss, and they clearly are the better team. So they might actually show up for all these reasons that I'm talking about here. So I wouldn't really want to fade Vegas here, but I think you're going to be paying too much of a price for Vegas. They're up to minus 280. I mean, that is a pretty brutal price there. 81% of tickets, 97% of the cash on them. No way. There's no way I could do it. I mean, if you want to, I don't know. If you want to go Vegas over their team total or something like that, just go with Vegas to put up some goals in this game because they should give you an effort here. Although usually effort means defense, but I don't know. I don't love these team total unders in hockey either, man. I don't know. I'm just not really a totals guy in any sport besides baseball, really, although we did get a winner barely in the NBA when I gave out a total the other day. But, yeah, we're passing on this whole board, man, for the NHL. Let's go to the NBA here. It'll get more interesting when the playoffs start for the NHL. NBA, Magic and Sixers is the first game up. I think the reason why the board was flipped last night was because the 7-8 game, I think, is always first, even though it was the West Coast game last night, so it was the later game chronologically. But the 7-8 game always gets the first listing, whatever you want to call it. In the they get listed first in the rotation. It's called the rotation. All right, Magic at Sixers. Sixers are a 2-point favorite, having flipped from a 1.5-point dog. I don't know what caused that move because Joel Embiid is not playing in this game. I'm pretty sure that's already known. Embiid still recovering from an appendectomy, so he's not going to play in this game. The money is coming in on the Magic. 53% of tickets, 68% of the cash on the Magic. I kind of agree with it. I know this game's in Philadelphia, but both teams have playoff experience recently. They've both been in the playoffs recently. I think experience is pretty much a wash here. What I think that people are going to be focused on is how did Orlando lose to the Celtics backups? You know what I mean? I think that's what people are going to have in their heads. Like, they lost to the Celtics backups. How could they possibly beat Philadelphia? You know what I mean? In a game that mattered. But I think that means that Orlando might decide to look at, because you know me, when a team loses as a double-digit favorite, and Orlando was a double-digit favorite in that game at the Celtics, when they lose a game like that, a lot of times they will show up with a better effort in the next game. That might be the case. Although then again, playing the Celtics is a big deal, even if you're playing their backups. So I don't know. That gives me a little bit of pause. Philadelphia ended the season by beating Indiana and Milwaukee. I mean, that's just whatever. That's not really an indicator of anything. If we look at the regular season matchups here, I almost think we could throw all of it out because Philadelphia won the first matchup, and I believe, I think it was like, I actually think it was like the full complement of players on the Philadelphia side. Actually, let me see. This is in October, though, so it doesn't really matter that much. Philadelphia won the game at home by double digits. It looks like, yeah, all the starters were there for Orlando, but for Philadelphia, they didn't have Embiid or George. So what do we even take away from that? I have no idea. And Philadelphia still won that game. The next game, Orlando blew out Philadelphia at Philadelphia in the next game. So they do have the ability to blow them out. I'm pretty sure Embiid and George and maybe even Edgecombe. I think a lot of guys are out of that game for Philadelphia, though. So, again, I don't know how much we could take away from that. That was around Thanksgiving time. And then Philadelphia did win the most recent game in Orlando. Philadelphia won by double digits. And that game, I think Orlando had some injuries there. I think Wagner was out for that one. Maybe Suggs was out too. So the load was on Banchero. People call him Banchero. I'm like, that's not right, dude. Banchero. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, man. So I think Philadelphia, I think, is 2-1 against Orlando this season. But I think you just throw it all out, is what I was about to say, because neither team had their full complement of players in those games. So I don't think we can really gauge anything from any of those games. I'm going to lean to Orlando, though. The money is saying Orlando. I'm not going to make this a play or anything like that. But I think Orlando might be the side to look at there. The money is coming in that way. Again, I think people are just going to be making fun of them because of that performance against the Celtics. So that's what I'm going to go with. Sixers seem to be a little bit discombobulated. Without Embiid, they're not going to have that threat in the paint, which I think that would be a big advantage for the Sixers if they had him in there, because the Magic don't really have the size to compete with that. But with him out of there, that makes the Magic's job a lot easier, because what the Magic have is that they're really good they have really good defensive guard play for the Magic. So that's what we got going on there, which means I think the Magic are going to wind up playing the Celtics again in the first round of the playoffs, which hopefully the Celtics would win that series. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right, and then as far as the total's gone way up to 224.5. A lot of money coming in on the over, driving that up 6 points. Don't know if that's just because Embiid is not going to be in there playing defense, if he can even do that at this point. I don't really get it. Money kind of coming in on the over, 77% of tickets, 86% of the cash. I would kind of lean under in this game. I mean, these are two teams that don't really play at a particularly fast pace. The Magic, I think, tried to and then realized, yeah, that's not going to work. And I think they kind of started slowing things down again. But in this first game, you get the playoff atmosphere, you get the defense. I think an under might make sense. And I think last night, both games might have gone over last night. So that's going to cause a lot of people to hesitate to want to play unders here. But there is a strong trend towards unders in these first round games, I'm pretty sure, especially the 7-8 games, I believe. But also last night you had I think the Heat and the Hornets was kind of an over type of style of games. So I don't know. Do with that information what you all want to. Warriors and Clippers. This game is really difficult to figure out. The Clippers are up from 3.5 to 5.5. 61% of tickets, 65% of the cash on the Clippers. I do think the Clippers are going to win this game. Golden State, I mean, I know they have a lot of experience. They have Steph Curry back. Of course, Butler's not coming back. If we look at what these teams did during the regular season, I believe they played 4 times. Let me see. The Clippers got blown out at Golden State early in the season, but that was with Butler and Curry both in there. And the Clippers, I don't know what they did, because I think Kawhi Leonard was there. Clippers had Zubac back then too, so I don't know how much we can really even draw from that. It was a horrible game for the Clippers, though. Clippers bounced back and beat Golden State in January at home by 1 in a game where I think also Butler and Curry were both in that game. I think it was before Butler's injury. Most recently, they played in March, which I believe was a game with no Butler, and I'm not sure if Curry was in that game or not. That was a win for the Clippers as well on March 2nd in Golden State. And then the Clippers won again in literally the last game of the regular season for the Clippers. They beat Golden State by 5 and only covered the lower closing number, because I think it dropped all the way from 6 to 3.5. I don't know why the line moved like that. But the Clippers did not have the greatest game in that game. I think they probably should have won that game more easily than they did. I think they had a bigger lead than that. I kind of like the Clippers in this one, but I don't think I want to lay 5.5, and I'm going to tell you why the line is that high in a second. But I mean, it was almost that high in this game too, but not quite. But this game, I mean, the Clippers did struggle a little bit in that game, but still, the Clippers are 3-1 against Golden State this season, straight up. Golden State, again, that was their last game of the season too. They did lose, so I guess there is maybe, I guess you could argue there's some zigzag potential here. But if you look at that game statistically, the Clippers, I'm pretty sure, were the better team here. Let me see. I looked at it earlier, but I just kind of forget. Yeah, the Clippers had a few more possessions here. They did shoot better from three, but whatever. But yeah, the thing about it is Golden State was only even this close because they had 10 more free throws made in the game. Golden State was constantly going to the free throw line, and they did out-rebound the Clippers, but that completely skewed the result, dude. The Clippers clearly should have won by more. That free throw disparity, probably not something you're going to see again, especially in a game in LA. Both these games are on Amazon Prime, by the way. But then the other reason why the line moved as high as it did is because Steve Kerr is out there saying that his best players are all going to be on a minutes restriction in this game. Like, what are you talking about? This is an elimination game, and he's like, yeah, we're going to have Steph Curry on a limits restriction. I don't know what is going on here. I mean, it looks like he's not listed on the injury report, but I have no idea. Because he was like, oh, yeah, Steph Curry, Draymond, and Porzingis, I think, they're all going to be on minutes restrictions, even though if you're going to go all out, like, you have to do it in this game, because if you don't win this game, you're done. I don't know what this team is doing, dude. I really don't. I kind of want them to lose just because I think Steve Kerr is an idiot, and he just injects bad politics into everything. Whatever. I mean, yeah, this team does have experience, probably more so than the Clippers do here at playing in games at this level. Maybe it's a ruse. Maybe Curry's just might just be fucking with everybody's minds. You know what I mean? Maybe he's saying that, like, because that's not something you can hold him to. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, they'll be on a minutes restriction, but then if that doesn't really happen, you can't really say he lied to us. You know what I mean? Because he might just go, oh, well, the way the game flow was going, my guys looked good, so I decided to play them more than I was going to. It might be something like that. I don't know. But also, Curry, Green, Porzingis, these guys are all getting older, and none of them are that healthy either, so I don't really know, man. I kind of lean to the Clippers here, but I really worry about maybe the Warriors. Maybe Kerr is just lying, and maybe that's overvaluing the Clippers a bit because he's out there talking like that. I don't know. The total's fairly low at 221.5. Again, probably because these games a lot of times tend to be lower scoring. Don't really have a feel for the total. Really, in either game, I don't really have the feel for the total there. Probably lean under slightly in both games, but really that's just kind of based on trends and not a whole lot else. So not playing those games. That's going to do it. 2-hour show, brutal, mostly because of baseball. Let's get these baseball wins, especially because my one side is the Red Sox money line. Let's get it done, man. Stop embarrassing yourselves. Get a win. The Red Sox are still the better team, man. So it's one of those spots where the odds makers are telling you something different than what the records are telling you. I like the matchup as well. Red Sox. Then we got over in Washington and Pittsburgh. Find the best number that you can. Like I said, I'd pay up to -120 to get it over the 9 because that key number 9 matters. You don't really want the hook, although I would still probably go over 9.5 too if you really have to. And then over 9.5 in Texas and homeless. Texas and the A's. Paying a little bit of juice for that. Again, if it's too much juice, if it gets up to -120, like I said, over 10 is really not different from 9.5, really, and you'll pay less for it. So that's going to do it. Although, of course, if it's a 6-4 game, it'll push instead of winning for you. So that's the scenario where it might happen. Don't tase me, bro, guy. Thanks for checking out the show, man. Dave Smith just happens to be right, bro, and you're a blatant Zionist for obvious reasons because you are Jewish, so, it's not a surprise. But I appreciate you checking out the show, man. I don't have anything else for you, but Dave is correct. It's not that I'm a sycophant. It's that I actually agree with him. I've disagreed with him before. You can go find tweets where I've disagreed with Dave Smith before. Just a little back and forths on Twitter. I mean, I don't remember exactly what they were even about. Probably some strategy-related stuff and stuff like that. But, yeah, I've disagreed with them. I'm my own man. That's going to do it. Thanks, guys. Learn to Toad on Twitter and Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe here. You get the notifications when I go live. What else do we have going on here? We got, we're on audio as well. Apple, Spotify. Check it out over there. Spreaker. That helps me out as well. Covered in Uke. My Uke channel on YouTube. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. Losercast. We had another new episode last night. My Loser of the Week nomination was, I already forget her name. The Mike Vrabel's side chick. That's what we should call her. That chick. Go check that out. That's going to do it. No, Andrew, you're a moron. You can't even back that up with actual facts. I'm completely anti-communist. I'm not defending it at all. I'm explaining why it's going to happen. And also, the people in power right now are communists. It's just a different flavor of communists. Trump is a communist, or at the very least a socialist, but it's basically the same thing. What the fuck are you talking about, man? You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. No, I'm not gonna admit that. You need to admit that. You're not defending your own position with anything at all. You're just saying shit. Like, you're just making assertions with no backing at all. That's not even what Dave said. You're looking at what the fucking Libertarian Party said. My IQ is 156. I'm high school valedictorian, straight A's. I have a degree in computer science. Fuck off, dude. No. Absolutely not. And very good perfect math SATs for me as well, by the way. No. No, I did not defend that. You're reading an LP National tweet. LP National is run by a fucking idiot, Stephen Nikala, or whoever the fuck is running that thing now. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They didn't even watch the clip. Watch that clip of Dave. He is explaining why the Democrats are going to win, which he's right, they are. And he's explaining why there might be a silver lining to it. That is what he's saying. The silver lining basically might be that if the Democrats get back in power, then the balance is going to swing back to, like, because they're going to be the evil that's in power at the time. Right now, the Republicans are the evil that are in power, and it's an awful situation. If it swings to the Democrats, the silver lining is they're going to be the evil that are in power, and people are, basically it'll unite the right is kind of what he's saying, I'm pretty sure. That's what he's saying, even though I don't even want to unite the right, because I don't want to unite with guys like you. Yeah, sure. I doubt it. Show me your IQ test. You're not that smart. Dude, you're making arguments that are so stupid, it's refuting your IQ right now. That's not what he said. That is not what he said. Fuck off. I'm banning you. Get out of my fucking chat. Get the fuck out. Fuck you. I hope you get tased every second of your remaining life, you fucking Zionist pig. Get the fuck out. We're done. Peace, everybody.